Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruber. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason Mefford.
There it is. And I'm boy, folks, you don't even know what we're dealing with here. And I'm Kathy Gruber, the other co-host of the Fire and Earth podcast, which we've been doing now for 3 years. And somebody, I'm
Got
not
a brain fart. Yeah.
forgot the name of the podcast that we were doing. So no judgment.
No.
Why would we do drugs this early in the morning? We're going to have another episode of What's on Your Desk, which has been a fun little thing that we've continued for the number of years that we've been doing this. And, we pull something that's in our space that is meaningful to us in some way, and we share it with each other and you, because you never know where it's going to lead, as always. And we enjoy that. So would you like me to begin, or would you like to begin?
Well, maybe you should, because I'm still having a little brain fart activity for some reason.
I should. Are you smelling burnt? Are you smelling burnt toast?
No.
Okay, good. Well, then we can just go on.
All right, there we go.
Yes, checking to make sure I don't need to call your wife. So 7 years ago, kind of right now, I was in Egypt. And as we've talked about on all these, we both love souvenirs and things that are meaningful to us. And since I was a kid, I was obsessed with Egypt. And I was at one of the little bazaars, and I was buying some gifts for people and some things that I wanted. And I found this little alabaster piece, a very old piece of a statue that I was really drawn to, but I didn't have enough currency. And there was no way I could, at this point, get more currency. I could get some later to make sure I had enough for the future, but I was at this bazaar and I didn't have enough to get this piece that I really wanted. And so I got the things that I got, and I got in the car with my driver and my guide. And about 2 hours later, he says, "You really liked that little statue, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm really kicking myself for not figuring out a way to pay for that." And he said, "Well," and he holds up the statue. He, when I wasn't looking, went back to the vendor and convinced him to either sell it to him to give to me, or to just give to me, since I had spent so much money. So this is a very teeny alabaster cat head, and it had come off a piece of a statue, and it's very old, but I love cats. And one of the things I love about this, and it's probably so hard to see, I don't even know where the camera is on this computer, but it's actually got a little face on it. Like there's eyes have been painted, and it's got a little mouth, and it's very old, and you can see it had broken off another piece of a statue. And so this lives, for a while it lived in my office, and now it lives on my desk, because it reminds me not only of that I love cats, it's just such a cool piece. I mean, just its face is it's just so neatly carved. It reminds me of Egypt, and it also reminds me of the sort of, sounds so Gone with the Wind, but the kindness of strangers, right? Being on a trip in a country where I didn't speak the language, and I didn't necessarily understand the norms and the traditions and that sort of thing, and to have people who were looking out for me and protecting me. A memory popped up on Facebook today of my guide going and finding me a bottle of iced tea, because I had posted on Facebook how hard it was to go 7 days without iced tea, and he showed up with a bottle of the green tea that he went out of his way to get for me. So it's a reminder to me of people being kind and thoughtful and generous. And so what's on my desk is this little alabaster cat head.
Well, that's fun, and I think it's a good reminder, because, like you said, that there's always more people helping us than what we realize. If and it's okay to accept help when it comes along, right? So for us to be the person helping others, but also to be the person receiving.
Yep.
Because I know a lot of times it's hard to receive. But it's interesting that you brought that up today too, because I was actually cleaning out the garage, right, this last weekend, and was pulling out some boxes, and I found a whole bunch of little things like that I bought when I was in Egypt as well. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Right. So it's going to be fun we had to kind of move stuff around quick, but it'll be fun to get back in there.
Yeah.
And see some of those things that are there. So again, something on your desk that reminds you of a lot of different things, right? Which is kind of fun.
Yeah. It's so cute.
Okay, so the two I was going to share, I think I'll do this one first, is this one's a little bit different. It's not a thing per se, but I have these little index cards on my desk.
Mhm.
Or they're actually sitting kind of right on my laptop. And so, before we have kind of talked about ways of being, or, things of ways to try to be, right?
Mhm.
And so I make up these little note cards for myself.
Nice.
And a lot of times I'll leave one there for a week, and then I'll kind of shuffle them and move through them. But what they do is they act as a reminder to me to do things in a certain way, right?
Mm.
So the one on top that I've been looking at says love.
No.
Okay. I've
Mm.
got love, I've got a love heart on it, and then
Mhm.
I've got some things written on the outside of it, right?
Love it.
So I've got love myself, right? So a reminder to love myself, be compassionate with myself,
Hmm.
of others, right? So other people, right? So to remind myself, be kind and loving to myself, to other people.
Hmm.
But I also have the word all things there too, right? Because I think a
Yeah,
lot of times we don't think about maybe animals or inanimate objects or things in nature, but that we also should be loving towards all things, not just people as well, right?
absolutely.
And then I also have the word light, because
Mm.
again, for me, love and radiating light and love kind of go hand in hand. And then I also wrote radiate peace and well-being, right?
Mm.
So again, kind of that idea of trying to share love, share light with other people, as well. So I've got different ones on here. I've got one of the words is decisiveness,
Oh.
devotion,
Mm.
resourcefulness, responsible. All right, those are
Nice.
just a couple that happen to be cards that are on
Hmm.
my desk. And like I said, so I try to think of ways that I want to be, or ways that I want to do the things that I do,
Hmm.
and then just use that as a reminder, um, for me to be that way.
That's so cool. So when you switch them, do you flip through them and say, what do I need right now? What do I want to focus on? Or do you grab one randomly?
Well, sometimes I try to think about it like that, like what do I need this week?
Hmm.
And sometimes something might jump out at me that
Hmm.
resonates more with me. Other times, and what I've kind of noticed is what might appear to be random is not random.
Right.
And so if I try to overthink it or think what I need this week, sometimes it's just as simple as kind of shuffling the cards, you're just moving them around, and whatever's the one on top, right? I
Yeah.
mean, same thing like if you use tarot cards or
Hmm.
animal cards or other things like that, sometimes people try to think too much into it. And it's like, that's not how you use them, right? It's like you shuffle, you pull, and just trust that whatever you happen to pull is what you need to hear at that
Yep.
particular time. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. That's great. And yeah, I just like you, I have little like notes. I've got quotes from Eckhart Tolle all over the place just to keep me, and I never know which one I'm going to glance at. Right.
mhm,
So, oh, I love
mhm.
that. That's beautiful. And I love note cards. I'm such a nerd. Okay. So the other thing I have on my desk, this is a new edition, and this was a gift. So we've talked before. I'm on the board of directors at the Magic Castle. And one of our members, who I don't know, had these made for all of us. So these are gorgeous mugs. So it's got our logo, and then it says Kathy Groover, Board of Directors Secretary for the Academy of Magical Arts. And there was this like great, we talked on one of our others about the journal that I keep on my desk. She stamped this with wax, and she had a ribbon made with my name on it. And the little card inside says, please accept the small token of thanks for leading our club into a new era with gratitude. Um, so this is just, I was so touched by this, and it was like the first thing that was an acknowledgement of the fact that I was devoting my time to the board, and it's beautiful. I'm not a hot beverage drinker, so I will never actually put a beverage in this, but it sits on my desk and it has my name and all this stuff. So it was just such a special thing, and this woman went out of her way to make these for all of us. So there's 9 people on the board, and she customized these for us, and they're gorgeous. So that sits there as with my little cat head, as a reminder of, people appreciating me and what I do for others.
Well, I think it's a great lesson too in gift giving, right? I mean, again, maybe this person didn't know that you don't drink hot drinks, but that doesn't really matter, right? I mean, a lot of people do, but to actually customize with everybody's name on it, but not even just that, the little cards that were made that were customized, then you got the wax on it and everything else, right? I mean, there was actually thought and intention put into it.
Yep.
Right. And so anytime that you can put thought and intention into gift giving, it's a better gift, even if the person never uses it, right? Kathy's never going to drink out of that probably.
No.
But when she looks at it, she knows that the person, gave a loving gift from the heart.
So thoughtful.
Very thoughtful. So, lesson in how we can give gifts as well.
Yeah. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's so beautifully done. And so it's just such a great addition to my little shelf of stuff. So there's second, what's on my desk. What is your second item, Jason?
Well, I thought I would do this. It's not as heavy as I thought it was going to be. So a couple weekends ago, I just had a free day on, I think it was a Saturday. So it's like, what should I do today? And I just got the feeling like drive down to Oceanside, which is about, hour, a little over an hour south of me, on the California coast. Drive down there, go to some, antique mall, thrift shop kind of stuff, right? Just go down there and just kind of wander around. So I did. So I went into, I don't know, 4 or 5 different places. I found a few different things.
Love it.
While I was down there that, afterwards, or when you're having feelings like that, it's kind of like, well, that's kind of weird. Why would I do that? Right. But when you go and do it and you follow your intuition, there's always something that comes out of it. Right.
Yep.
And so I found some somewhat random things that I purchased from some of the different stores, but they were all things that were kind of intended for me. Right. Like I this ring and this ring I actually got, that had just come in a day or two before.
I noticed those were new today.
I showed up to the shop, right? So again, I mean, I felt them. I instantly kind of felt like this energy rush and knew that they were for me. They exactly fit my fingers, right? And they were only there for a day or two before I showed up. So
I love it.
Obviously those things were placed there. And one of the other things was this.
Oh,
okay. It's a little,
wow.
I've got matching. These are called foo dogs, or sometimes they're called Chinese lions. They're guardians, that I found in one of the other shops. So I have 2 of them, and they're on my desk now, guarding my desk, protecting me on my desk. Right. So there's obviously the symbolism behind that, kind of from a Chinese or Eastern philosophy, whatever you want to call it, sort of a thing. But also they're jade.
I was going to ask if that was really jade.
Yeah, they're real jade.
It's gorgeous.
And so they are, jade has certain properties as well. And so felt called to have 2 big pieces of jade here to kind of help me in managing the energy in my office, and to have these, which is funny because they're, a lot of times they're called foo dogs, but some people call them lions too. And so it's, I'm a Leo as well. So there's some of that kind of goes along with that as well. So now when I get back in its holder, there we go. I've got these 2 beautiful statues on either side of my computer that are here guarding and protecting me, both kind of spiritually, ethereally, if you will, but also the material that they're made out of of jade also has metaphysical properties as well from a gemological, standpoint. So I get the benefit out of that. And it also is a reminder again of when intuition calls, right? Just, I don't know why I'm going to Oceanside, but I felt like, hey, I normally, when I would drive south, I got this idea that popped into my head. I normally stop in San Clemente. There's a Denny's there that I usually stop at that's right at the thing. So it's like, okay, I got up early, but I just kind of had this feeling, of seeing myself having breakfast there, going on down to Oceanside. And, I'd never really gone to Oceanside before, at least gotten out. I usually just drive through.
Yeah.
Right. So it was interesting for me to actually be able to experience it. Like I said, go into some of the different shops that I felt inspired to go into, and walked away with some different things that will help me.
I love it. Well, and that's such a great lesson, right, of following that intuition. And I've done that too, where it's like, why am I on this website? What am I looking for? Why does it keep bugging me that I should check this now? Or why am I so drawn to going into the store? Or, how many times did I pick up this cat head and the shoe's not, literally, I went back to it like 5 times. And the perception of the person with me was like, okay, she clearly wants this. I'm going to make sure she has this. And, you walk into a store and you're like, there's something here for me. Isn't jade also, and I could be misremembering this, isn't it a sign of like prosperity and royalty?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prosperity, wealth. As well.
Abundance, all that good stuff. That's awesome. So, I love these little quick shows. Cool. And it's so funny. We both had cats, right? If those are considered lions.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We've got the cat thing.
I've got a bigger cat than yours.
Well, and also from a protection standpoint, if someone breaks into your office, you could just club them on the head with the thing.
Exactly.
It's kind of heavy.
Blunt object. They're pretty heavy. Yeah.
I can't do much with my little cat head. I could, maybe get him in the eye, but
choke him with it.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Okay, it's gotten weird. All right. Well, hey, I'm Kathy Gruber. I can be reached at kathygruber.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. So go out, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. See ya.
See ya.